You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to our podcast, Cards to the Moon. This is episode 94. My name is Clark from 5Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. And with me again is John, who is Trade You at Recess on Instagram. And back again is Will, our friend, filling admirably for Hyung, I must say. So, off the top, guys, I want to get your thoughts on the one-of-one 2018 National Treasures Luka Doncic Logo Man Rookie Patch Auto. It's graded a BGS 9 mint condition, which sold for $4.6 million just back in March of last year. And as you already know, it's up again on auction at PWCC with a current bid as of this podcast recording of $2.3 million, so exactly half right now. Now, most people watching this auction doubt that it'll sell for more than the $4.6 million it sold for last year. So my question for you guys is, whoever is buying this for at least 2.3 million, are they getting a good deal, or do you think it's crazy to buy a card like this, one of one Luka Doncic Logo Man, in this current state of the market? Or put another way, say you're a millionaire, would you bid on the Luka Logo Man right now on this auction?
Damn. I think at the current bid, 2.3, I feel like that's an okay price if it stays around that. So to get what could be, what I believe is a generational player and his one-of-one all-time Grail card, I mean, it's that and the Flawless are probably the two on top of the mountain.
Right.
I personally like the Flawless better, but NT is the big king, but it is also horizontal. But besides that point, I think 2.3, I personally think it's going to sell for high twos, low threes, like kind of like in and around that mark. But again, what the heck do I know? But yeah, I think low twos is a deal. Like, I don't know. When you think about number one, 4.6, when it sold for, that was ridiculous. That was
crazy.
Yeah, whoever that guy bought it off of Shine 150, like, yeah, I don't know what they were doing at the time, but that's ridiculous. It was way, way overvalued. And what are you going to do? It's during the height of the market, and maybe they're feeling kind of wild at the moment. But, if you're buying, even if, let's say, this one goes up to 3.5 or 4.1, like, I don't know, like, what's the upside, Like, if you had $10 million to spend on sports cards, let's say even one sports card, I can't see many cards being worth more than 5, period. Like, I think you can see the Mantle. I think you can see the Honus Wagner. If anything, if there happened to be a Jordan rookie one-of-one, like, I could see that being 5, 6, 7, 8 million. Other than that, I don't think anything else should be worth that much. So, like, if you bought this Luka at 4.1 or whatever it's about to sell for, even 3.2, it's hard for me to understand the upside, because then that means that many cards in the future, including Giannis's Grail card and Curry's Grail card, NT, gold out of 10 or whatever, we're going to see a lot of $8 million, $9 million, $12 million cards. And man, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about this. So I think low twos, what it is at right now, if it closed at this price, I could be like, okay, I could see it being worth 2.9 in the future, 3.1. But beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what the upside is. So even as great as Luka is, right. But that's just my thoughts. And again, I don't know anything about the high-end market. So yeah.
Yeah, I think at this podcast we have a poor record on guessing super high-end cards. So this fits into that category. But totally. I hear you, John. But what I am hearing is that if it's over 3, yeah, that's crazy. But at 2.3, John's willing to pay for it. So that's a deal. Then.
That's a deal.
Okay. No, but yeah, no, good points. Good points. Well, what do you think?
Well, I gotta say, those episodes where you were talking about the high end, which one was it? I think it was like the LeBron logo, the 3 logo man one, and you guys were just talking about like what you thought the final price was gonna be, and I was just like, I just remember how off you guys were, and it was hilarious. Yeah. But then really, like I put in my number in my head of what I thought it was gonna go for, and it was nowhere close to that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like it's always a crapshoot when it's like the high end stuff. But I think you know, like kind of what John was saying is true. You have to think of what are the other cards that are in this north of 3 million, 2 million like range. Like what kind of cards? So I didn't know too much. So I did some research when you posted this topic, and I looked at it, and a couple different websites have different cards like as the top 10 and whatnot, but it's 52 Mantle, it's T206 Honus, it's LeBron's Upper Deck Exquisite Gold that was like 5 million, Curry's 1 of 1, I think it was like a logo, his logo man rookie, that was 5.9. And like there's like Babe Ruth, like like the top 10 is like these crazy names: Gretzky, Tom Brady, Kobe, Giannis, Babe Ruth. You know, these are like the biggest, the best GOATs of all these sports. And then right in the middle, in the top 5, Luka is 4.6 million. It doesn't make sense. If you look at those other players, Mickey Mantle, 7 championships. Honus Wagner, just 1, but when you look at the historical, like the accounts of who he was as a player, people just talk so highly of him. Curry, 4 championships. LeBron, 4 championship. Gretzky, 4 championship. Tom Brady, 7. Kobe, 5. And I think one really good comp is Giannis. He's got 1 trophy, or he's got 1 championship. His 1 of 1 sold for $2 million in September of 2020. So do I think Luka is a better player than Giannis? I don't know. I think I like Giannis more. Giannis is not as sexy because he's a big man, and big men get no love. And trust me, in high school, I knew that very well. Big men do not get love. That's some personal sadness that just crept out of my voice. I didn't expect to share that. But yeah, the Trout. I'm just joking. I did really well. I was very popular. Just joking. I was not.
Well,
let's edit this whole thing out.
Well, you're popular now. That's all that matters. Okay.
I'm married. I got 2 kids. It doesn't even matter at this point. Like Trout, his superfractor auto is 4 mil, like around 4 mil. So you know, Trout's never won a championship either, but he's the greatest baseball player statistically of all time. So where does Luka fall in there? Somewhere between 2 to 4 mil, I guess. But I really think Giannis is better. So Giannis is like 2.3 is already high enough in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm with John.
Fair.
If it stays here, if it goes to 2 point, like John and I are putting in 2.4.
1.15 each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sell our houses.
It'll be a good investment. All right. At 2.3 million US. Okay. No, that's all legitimate points. Well, I liked how you compared to the essentially current top 10 sellers, and it seems the odd man out really is Luka in this case because he hasn't won yet. And I think what boosts his value is that potential. You know how in prospects it's just way, you're usually paying way too much, but you're paying for the potential of him being a generational player. And I think people still expect a lot out of what Lukin can do for the game. And I think in a lot of ways he will be a generational player. But man, 2.33 million, that's a big risk on someone's whole career that's just kind of still relatively early on. Anything can happen from now until 10, 15 years. Who knows? Like, God forbid, we hope that Luka has a full career, but not even that's not guaranteed, right? So, and so where does that leave you? That leaves you buying a card, hoping to make a short-term flip. And like you were saying, John, I don't know. Can you really make a lot of money when you buy it at 3 million? Like, who's going to pay 4 million next year or the year after, especially in this market that we're in? You might have to wait 5-6 years. And that's, the longer you wait, there's more question marks. So if I was a millionaire, I probably wouldn't buy like I would buy so many other things before this Luka 1/1. It's just more of a flex, I guess. If it's money's not an
Yeah,
object.
if you've got like all the money in the world, then who cares? Buy it at 30 million. Like if Jeff Bezos shows up and he's like, I want this Luka card, then by all means. Or if Steve Ballmer wants to, like, I don't know, try to
start being a collector. Yeah.
No, or like try to steal Luka from the Mavs, then maybe he buys his card and he's like, I don't know.
This is how I'm committed to you.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right. Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, so I guess we'll see how much it goes for. It ends in a week, so by the time this airs, we'll probably know, and then we'll update our listeners and what we think about the final value. Any guesses? We have a bad track record, but why not? Let's make a guess. What's it going to sell for?
3.1.
Okay.
I think Trout's Superfractor auto went for 3.9. It's got to be under that, so I'll say 3.8.
Okay. I think it's going to be 2.8.
Ooh.
It's equivalent of me betting $1 in Prices Right. So 2.8 is I got to win one of these ridiculous bets. All right, we'll see. We'll see what it goes for. Okay, let's move on to our next segment we call Hobby Headlines. So with Will as our guest host today, I thought we could talk about set collecting again. Because Will, when you were on the show a few months ago, you talked about your quest to collect all the parallels of Hyunjin Roo's first Topps baseball cards when he played for our home team, the Toronto Blue Jays. So that got me thinking, during this bear market, we've seen investors be much less active because of all the money that's being lost in the hobby and, of course, in the economy in general. But the flip side is that it's been more fun to be in the hobby as a collector with a lot of cards at good sale prices. Will's got his Hyunjin Ryu collection going. I shared my attempt to collect all of this year's Topps Home Field Advantage insert cards, which has a damn checklist that keeps growing because of the Topps update now, having more HFA inserts in it. But anyway, let's use this segment to suggest more ideas of what might be fun to collect and complete a set in, but all on a budget so we can still have fun in this hobby, even when we're not making crazy profits at this time. John, I'm going to throw it to you first because you mentioned off air one idea, which I thought was a good idea, that you had personally that you were thinking of doing yourself.
Yes. So I have thought of a quest for collecting. I haven't started it yet, but It is to collect RPAs of every Canadian basketball player that's ever entered the NBA.
Nice.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be pretty cool. I think Flawless was a bit expensive for me to do sort of like this PC run. So I've kind of fallen on Immaculate. I like the design generally of Immaculate. And I did want to kind of be as consistent as possible. I think when I fall into some of the older players, like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like Tristan Thompson and stuff like that, he may or may not have a Immaculate version. Sure. So in those cases, I'll probably defer to something else, but as much as I can, I think I'm going to try to do Immaculate. I've been really scared to do it though, because I haven't looked at prices recently, but like Shea Gilgeous still fairly expensive, even like a third year Immaculate,
He's playing so well.
He's playing amazing. I love him.
Just put him anywhere outside of OKC.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a rookie patch auto. It could be any.
Oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't have the RPA. Yeah, I'm actually gonna just do any patch auto Canadian guy. So I'm gonna, most likely gonna target like 4th year Jamal Murray. his cards are still expensive too. I think like a raw goes for like 200 US, for just like a PC for fun. It's so expensive. Steve Nash's Immaculate is like 400 US. I haven't checked. Last time I checked was probably like 6 to 8 months ago, but now that we're in a bear market, I'm going to start poking around, especially this show. Like if I start seeing some of those raw and I could like, maybe trade into some and not spend any cash, maybe that's how I start the quest. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Do you know how many Canadian basketball players there are?
There are a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a long journey. There's a lot of them, man. And there's two decent ones in this year's class.
Right. No, I like that idea because it wouldn't work for Americans because every other basketball player is an American. But like if you're an Australian, you got John Giddy, Luke Longley. Like from other countries,
Simmons.
this checklist is manageable, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Will, any thoughts of your own about set collecting other than
maybe we should do Koreans in the NBA? I think it was just that one guy who was on Portland.
That'll be
Hasung-Jin,
easy to do.
Hasung-Jin,
I think he played like 1.2 minutes per game, 15 games. Yeah.
He looked like an ogre, like a 7'6" ogre.
Yeah. I gotta say, like right now is one of the most fun times I've had coming back to the hobby. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of negativity. There's a lot of just doom and gloom, and that's just kind of like a microcosm of what's going on in the world. There's fears of a recession and interest rates and all these inflation, all this stuff, and but for me, coming back to the hobby, it wasn't about investments. It was about just getting back to that love of collecting cards. And so I've found that with the market turning down, a lot of investors are just jumping ship. And so there's a lot of really nice cards that have become available over the last couple of months. So I've been able to get some cards that I really, really love at a much cheaper price. Like, we were talking about unlicensed. I got to show some unlicensed love to that Vladdy Color Blast that I have. I love that card, and I wanted it so badly. And it is suddenly so affordable. So I think that part's really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also like all the little things, like you were mentioning, Clark, with chasing sets. Again, unlicensed. That we're talking about Bomb Squad. Just because that guy, what was his name? Something
Cosmopolitan Redneck.
Yeah, that's oxymoron. Cosmopolitan Redneck. I love that name. But he showed that was it SGC 10 Gold Kaboom? Oh, not Kaboom. Bomb Squad. And I have I think there's 10 players. They were the 10 home run leaders from last year. And I have a gold of each one of them. And they're out of 99. I love that set.
Nice.
I wish I was collecting it now rather than when I collected it like a few months back, because I would have saved a ton of money. But, collecting those little sets, it's a lot of fun. One of the things that I try to collect is Koreans in whatever sport or field. Mm-hmm. So I have random, like when I go dollar box diving, I found some random UFC fighter. I don't even know his name, but he's some Korean dude. I picked up for John's daughters. I picked up, was it like a Chloe Kim? Oh, did I get you a Chloe Kim? Not yet.
No. I think
I was collecting
like a
female athletes. Yeah. Oh yeah. But there's like stuff like that, like Chloe Kim and all these Koreans in all these fields. I think that's a pretty cool thing to collect. I've been really enjoying baseball, SP and SSP, like variation hunting. And those are, as long as you're not going for the huge names, there's some really, really nice looking SPs and variations. That first show, the first Toronto Card Expo we went to, I remember I was just looking at slabs. I was overwhelmed by that show. It was my first show. And I was just looking at people's slabs, their display cases, and trying to figure out how to hustle and maneuver and make money. And, Clark and I were at the same booth making trades, making really, really good trades. And then Clark ended up crushing it with an Aaron Judge. And I traded for an Acuna Purple Auto that has not changed in value.
Hold it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold. I mean, it's Acuna, so whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what the first show is like. But this coming show, I'm gonna be dollar box diving. I'm gonna be looking through all of those raw cards, just these 25-cent, 50-cent, $1 cards, all these things that make me happy. And so I don't know. I feel like it's a really fun time to be collecting. I would love to have come into the hobby right now, rather than in 2020 when I did.
Yeah, I can see that, especially for you, Will, because you're definitely more of, we had this discussion, can you truly be 100% collector, 100% investor? Everyone's kind of a hybrid, but at different percentages.
Yeah.
But I feel like you skew more to the collector side out of, all of us here, and including Hyung. We love to collect too, and we still say collect what you love, but there's definitely an investor side of me as well. I'm always looking for the upside financially. But yeah, from a collector's point of view, I agree with you guys 100% that it's a great time to pick up those cards. And just a general theme of when you guys were sharing what ideas what ideas you guys had for set collecting. A lot of it's really just personal, right? It's for your PC. Canadian basketball players, it's who you like to collect, John, and and Korean players in any sport, or even the look of certain cards. It's subjective, like the gold bomb squad. That's not for everyone, but for you, it's because it's not for everyone, you could get it for cheap. Exactly. If it was for everyone, man, you're paying a premium for those cards, right? Those rare ones especially. But yeah, I like that. For me, I was trying to think of other ideas. You kind of got, you guys kind of mentioned it already, but if you wanted to still collect stud players, because to your point, John, about Jamal Murray, stud players, even non-rookie cards can cost quite a bit. But if you don't just collect rookie cards, then it becomes a little bit more financially feasible. Go for numbered second or third year cards of stud players. That's a kind of a fun way to collect something on the cheap.
Right.
I like home field advantage because there's a definitive set list. Right, I hope after Topps update.
That's what you think.
I finished the first 10. I'm like, damn, Topps. Series 2 came out. That's 20. I don't even know how many are in the Topps update. I got to recheck the checklist, but that's where I'm drawing the line. But they do have a definitive checklist. So the whole idea of set collecting, it's like there's a attainable goal, which makes it fun too, right? And I was gonna ask you guys before I share a couple more ideas. Do you guys have to? Once you start something, kind of like what Brian Dennison said, Cajun Cardboard, once you start something, do you have that feeling where you got to finish it?
Yep. For sure. That's a part of why I'm scared to start, because I know if I start, it's over. I'm going all in. So I'm refusing to start.
Right. That can be smart. It's that to the point where you just need one more to finish it, and you're pretty much willing to pay anything at that point, right?
Oh yeah.
But, yeah.
Don't even get me started on some of the last cards I need to finish a set. It's just killing me. If it ever shows up, I'm gonna pay an arm and a leg.
Yeah, that's I have that same personality trait, so can't give up on my home field advantage, although that keeps growing. But there are so many other insert cards that are pretty cheap, especially from the junk wax era. If you're nostalgic about those, do you guys remember the Stadium Club Beam Team inserts for basketball? Yeah. They're pretty affordable. The some of the years that they offered the Beam Team, and some of the designs are better than other years, but the ones you like, man, that's just pure nostalgia for me. Might look into that. The 2020, I think Panini Hoops, they had that Slam magazine cover inserts. Those are pretty cool. And I looked at those prices. They've all come down in price. I remember when they were actually high, right? Because when the hype's oh, this looks so cool.
Yeah, and the Kobe ones especially. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So and now if you look back, you're whoa, they've definitely come down a lot too. So yeah, if you were trying to, if you, like Will said, like this is a perfect time to come into the hobby for the purpose of set collecting. If you were one of the ones that came in like Will during the hype and you're trying to set collect and you're like, oh, what is going on? I can't afford this. I encourage you to come back and check those prices again. And I feel like it's more manageable now. So yeah, I hope that was helpful for people that are, just bored in the hobby because they're like, I'm losing money left, right, and center. This is a fun way of getting back into the hobby. I don't know if you guys have any other ideas in terms of set collecting that you want to add.
Did you guys ever collect, or I would assume we all collected 1991 Upper Deck baseball cards.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a tangent of what you were saying, so
go for it.
Let's make sure this doesn't end up on the podcast. But did you ever like simulate games with player cards? Like I would have two teams, each team has a left fielder, center fielder, right fielder, all that stuff, and I would just pretend, like imagine I was like 8 years old, right?
Like on a table, you have like
and I just pretend
I
like
think
Ken Griffey Jr.
I did do
like,
that.
Yeah, right. And you're like, oh, you hit a triple, and then like you're like running these cards around. So like I'm just thinking, when you were talking about Junk Wax era, Clark, I'm like, you know what? I want to go pick up a 1991 Upper Deck complete set. So I don't have to do any of the chasing.
Right. Just the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just going to buy the box. Because I did that with Marvel 1991.
Okay.
And I look at those cards. I bought just a complete set box. And I look.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I bought 2 hobby boxes and I made 4 sets out of them. And I just look at that set and I'm like, oh, I love these cards so much. Because when I was a kid, I used to pretend battle them against each other. That's why none of my cards from my childhood hold any value, because I'm literally like manhandling them.
Oh man,
like
I was particular
hitting them
from the
against
beginning.
each other. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know.
I even collected comic books. I would not read any of them. I just literally buy them right into the sleeve and take it home. And like that's the way I bought comic books. People who actually read comics like, you don't read any of your comics? I'm like, I have not read one comic in my life.
I have no idea what's inside.
What's the story about? I have no idea.
Spider-Man. It looks cool.
Yeah. That's hilarious. You know what? All this is staying in the podcast because I think it's funny, but yeah, just it's kind of like the proto fantasy, baseball fantasy sports, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not doesn't sound too insane.
If you have a problem, take it up with an 8-year-old Will Troy. Like, who cares?
It's all good. It's all good. All right. Well, they're all good suggestions, I think. If any of our listeners and subscribers have their own ideas, we'd love to hear them. You can always reach out to us on Instagram at Cards to the Moon, all one word, or you can email me, like some of you guys already have, at hello@fivecardguys.com. We would love to hear from you guys. All right. And yeah, let's keep the hobby fun, and we'll all get through this bear market together. All right, let's move on to our next segment. It's a new one, and it's called Worth a Flyer. So again, being cognizant that many of us aren't looking to spend a lot of money on cards at the moment, I thought, are there any cards that are relatively cheap that you would take a small gamble on? Cards that are worth a flyer, which you're okay with if it goes down to 0, but you're hoping in a year or 2, if everything breaks right, you can make a nice 2x, 3x, 10x profit. So I can start first. My worth a flyer candidate is someone, I want to see if you can guess who this is, someone who hit more home runs this past season than Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado, and our hometown boy Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's a shortstop that can hit homers, obviously, and was once touted a very good prospect at one point. Any guesses?
Shortstop that
we
hits
need
balls.
Young Cho.
Yeah.
Young will get it right away, I'm sure.
I don't know who hits bombs.
American League.
Andrew Benintendi.
I believe he's an outfielder.
Did he hit
Isaiah
like? Is he a left fielder?
Falefa? Has he hit a home run yet in his career?
He hits like 7 bombs. Oh, I mean, sorry, not Benintendi. Is it Dansby Swanson? Did he hit home runs?
No, he's in Atlanta.
He's in Atlanta.
He's a shortstop,
American League. He's a shortstop, yes.
Oh, okay, I'm completely embarrassing myself.
Texas Rangers.
Oh. It's gotta be.
All right. We need Young. Where are you, Young?
I'm so mad.
No, who'd they sign? They signed.
Young
Simeon.
is yelling at the podcast right now as he's listening.
Idiots, you're ruining this for me.
He plays with Semyon on the other side of the diamond. Yeah, they do double plays together.
Who'd they sign? Was it Seager?
Seager, yes.
There
Give the
it is.
prize
Yes.
to Will. Corey Seager.
Good job,
Right?
Will.
You know what? Corey Seager, if you look at his 2012 Bowman Chrome base rookie auto, BGS 9.5, sold for $80 last month. And, he's just one of those guys that, and, for raw, if you're just looking for raw because it's a worth a flyer and you want to get a slab later, like that'll be a $50, $40 purchase for an on-card autograph, essentially first Bowman Chrome auto of Corey Seager. And, his average is 250, so it's not horrible. It's not the greatest, but not bad by today's standards for baseball. But there's worse than spending $50 on another player, right? So Corey Seager, that's my worth a flyer candidate. I got another one before I throw it to you guys. We talked about this guy a lot when we started in the hobby. 2020 Topps Chrome. So it's not Bowman, but it's a Topps Chrome on-card auto of Luis Robert, our buddy Lou Bob.
No.
Triple down.
You can get his raw card for under $80, a Topps Chrome rookie auto, right? So
Oh my god.
I'm just saying, if you still believe in Lou Bob, and he's still got the talent,
He does.
I think that's worth a flyer too. So those are my 2 worth a flyer candidates for you guys, for people that are looking to still spend something in the hobby, but you don't want to spend a lot. There's 2 sub $80 options for you guys.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
Well, no, just in response to what you said, you know what's going to happen with Lou Bob? It's going to be just like what happened to Shohei, where we all had he had all the hype.
Right.
We're all disappointed, and we're just selling him off. We're like, this is never going to happen. And then we all sell our cards, and he's going to have like this magical 40 home run season. It's going to be...
Listen, I thought it was this season. I got his, I thought it was, this season because I got his, Bowman Chrome first auto PSA 10, right? And then, you guys already heard the story on this podcast. I traded that with Bo Bichette for Aaron Judge. So it worked out for me anyway. Yeah. But the value of that Bowman Chrome first auto has plummeted as well. So I'm just saying, just keep an eye on Lou Bob. It's
I don't
not financial
I don't blame
advice
you at all.
but
I was gonna pick Lou Bob too.
Oh really? Me too. And that's the end of our segment. All right, moving on.
Oh man,
Lou Bob
that's hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. I am going to relieve Will of some of that past pain and give big men some love. So I'm gonna pick 2 relatively cheap cards, and this is, when we talk about set collecting, I think there is something to, especially when you rebound from a bear market and we start to see a recovery. Obviously, it's the GOAT players and stuff like that that we can really see solid prices, right? So
Yep.
I've always had this idea of collecting the NBA top 10, top 15, top 20. It's just something that I've always thought of.
Nice.
And I think there is something to it because the NBA is like the only league that's out there that makes such a big deal about the top 10 list or the top 20 list or the top 50 list. So it's just like this, it's just this thing that NBA has. So I think there is something to that. Now, these 2 players, it's going to be Shaq and Tim Duncan. Big men. I'm going to show the big men some love.
Okay, I like that.
And the Shaq PSA 10 Topps rookie card right now goes for just about $100. And then the Tim Duncan Topps rookie card goes for around $80, $85, maybe 100 or just below 100. But tell me a time where you can buy like a flagship product. Well, we'll call it Topps a flagship product for the sake of calling it flagship product, but that you can buy a top 10 NBA player for $100 PSA 10. You can't. It's only Shaq and Tim Duncan. Albeit they're from the junk wax era, but it's one of those. Why not? And if anything, I don't think the price is going to go down. And at very worst, you've got two Hall of Fame, arguably easily in the top 10 all time for many people's list. So I think for me, those are two no-brainer, cheap cards that you can pick up right now during a down market that, you could, I don't know if you'll enjoy it. Some people might not enjoy Tim Duncan. That's why he generally doesn't get that much love. But Shaq, I think, speaks to a lot, right? Like, I think his dominance, popularity, he's outspoken. He's still in the media these days. Like, he's very relevant. So I think at the minimum, Shaq should be on everybody's. Yeah. I don't own those cards, but I think if I want to dunk like $200, I'd probably look at those two cards.
Love that Shaq pick. Love it. And the Tim Duncan. I'm just looking at their charts, and the PSA 10 base tops, like, it once sold for over $1,400 during the hobby hype, and now it's
$100
down to $80
or $80. Yeah.
Like, it's a good deal. It's affordable, especially if you're a basketball fan too, right? Yeah. So underrated for sure.
Shaq. I don't understand how he's so undervalued.
Right.
Just he's Shaq.
Well, what's the pop count on that Shaq Topps card?
I think it's pretty high. It's probably like 44,000 something. I mean, that's not like high.
4,400.
Yeah, it's not bad
for junk wax era.
It's not bad at all
for PSA 10
junk wax,
and it's half that for Tim Duncan 2,000. Will, you got some?
So I stayed away from baseball and I went for basketball.
Okay.
And so for me, probably my favorite player is DeMar DeRozan. Mm-hmm. I think he's not just in the hobby, but in basketball, he's so unappreciated. He's starting to get a little bit more love, a little bit more recognition. He's getting his flowers. Like last year when he had a little bit of outside MVP consideration, he had those back-to-back game winners, and people were really starting to notice him.
Yeah.
And yet his card prices are still so low. If you look at Basketball Reference and career leaders in points, if we're talking about NBA, ABA, like combined stats, then DeMar's 52nd overall. If you're counting just NBA stats, he's 48th overall. He's in the top 50 in scoring of all time. And he's so underappreciated. His Topps paper, it's got a pop of 42 in PSA 10s, and it's $200 US.
Wow.
And I'm just like, there's 42 of them.
Just 42.
And it's selling for, like, I think the last couple sales were like $200. So I think he's criminally underrated and undervalued. Wherever he plays, he's beloved by fans. Like, I'm always on the basketball subreddits, and the love that Chicago fans, San Antonio fans, and Toronto fans are. I'm always disappointed in Toronto fans. They always have to talk about his playoff struggles and all this stuff, and I'm like,
that's me right there.
I mean, but then you have to say every team in the East that faced LeBron,
right,
has playoff struggles.
No,
like
but
LeBron,
but DeMar was like struggling against like the Washington Wizards and stuff like that. He come off like during the regular season, like back 40-point performances, and like game 1 Washington Wizards 12 points. Like, oh, come on, man.
Well, that's just our weird basketball playoff history where we always lose game 1 of a series.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm so biased. I love DeMar DeRozan. if I ever got a tattoo, I would tattoo his tweet after Chris Bosh left us, where DeMar said, "I got us," or "Don't worry, I got us." Like, I would tattoo that on my face.
Do it.
Yeah. So then my other flyer is also kind of in the same vein. The 9th leading scorer in NBA history is...
The 9th leading scorer. Currently playing.
Clues.
Still active, not retired.
Carmelo.
Carmelo Anthony. He's the 9th leading scorer.
Yeah.
His Topps Chrome has a pop of like just under 800.
Okay.
And it's also $200. Like,
yeah.
Like, what are we doing? I have a Boba Fett rookie card that's pop 20,000 now. And I love Boba Fett, but Carmelo's top 10 scorer in the league historically, and his card gets no love. His cards get no love.
Yeah, it's plummeted for sure.
Yeah. So those are my two.
It's good, man. I think if you could, following what you're saying, if you can start to pick off some of these cheap, like top 50 NBA, you know, like Kevin Garnett, arguably like top 15, you can probably pick up his base tops for like $60. Like Chris Paul, he's gonna, in my opinion, he should enter into the top 50. His Topps Chrome, which is super limited, just like even less than Carmelo's. I think that goes for like 200, 250. That card used to be, like $1,500 base. So yeah, I like it, man.
Good suggestions.
I mean, like, you know what's crazy? LeBron and Melo. Obviously, Melo will never be LeBron, but LeBron's, like, if we're talking 2003 Topps paper, LeBron has a pop of 2,200, and the last sold card was $1,800 US. Carmelo has a pop of 729, so it's a third, and his card sold for $66. Like, 1,800 versus $66. Like,
the Topps paper PSA 10.
yeah. Like, that's nuts.
Yep. But you know what? That kind of ties in with our previous segment about set collecting. Like, that's another fun way. Like, top 25 NBA. Like, I agree to your point, John, that NBA fanatics are obsessed with lists. NBA pundits love, adjusting their list every year to see who's in and who's out of the top 10, top 15, top 20. And I've seen a high-end collector go after the top, 25 NBA players in their opinion, and it includes like one, and then they have like a Michael Jordan PSA 10, and then they have like obviously go down the list, and one of his Instagrams was like, oh, he finally got like a Giannis PSA 10 rookie card. So you could do that on a much lower end, go after these top space PSA 10 or 9s. It's a fun way of set collecting, and something to do in the hobby that doesn't require thousands of dollars. So I like that idea. Nice. All right. So again, we throw it out to you guys, our listeners. If you have a worth a flyer candidate, send it to us. We'd love to hear from you. And let's make this hobby enjoyable as much as possible. This is a reoccurring theme. We want people to stay in the hobby. So there will, we can have fun collecting when the bull market comes again in a couple of years, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's finish off this show with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. And if it's your first time on this, listening to this show, this is where the three of us will pick 2 cards, 2 players, 2 sets, and then we each debate which one we would rather invest in. All right. So again, John, can I throw it to you to start off?
So this one is specifically designed for Clark. I want to see if I can push Clark to one side. So we're going to go Nikita Kucherov, Young Guns, PSA 10. last sold for about $420. He is right now third in scoring, like 19 points in 13 games or something like that, versus Steven Stamkos, Young Guns PSA 10, also last sold for roughly around 420-ish. They go for basically the same amount of money. And Stamkos is currently 45th in scoring with 13 points in 13 games. Which card are you taking?
John, did you say this one was for Clark or for me?
This is for Clark. So if listeners know the history of his podcast,
if you listen to last week's episode,
yeah,
you'll know why that's funny.
Clark really likes Stamkos, and he really thinks Kucherov is washed up. So
Will knows nothing about hockey.
Yeah. So I am trying to convert Clark onto one side. We'll see if it happens.
I knew this one was for me specifically. I'm just looking at his career stats right now. Okay, so Kucherov has 637 points, right, in 575 games played. And do you know how much Stamkos has? I'm going to look it up quickly.
I'm guessing like 800 something points.
985.
Ooh.
But he's played 935 games.
4 years older.
Oh man, you know what? I looked at. That's tricky. Like you gave me certain details, just like this season stats, trying to get me to choose Kucherov. Yep. I'm glad I looked at the career stats, because that was only like a sliver of the whole picture that you're trying to get. Because I'm like, oh man, I'm just looking at these numbers, and it's got to be Kucherov, right? But if you pan out and you see the breadth of their career. Stamkos, man, like almost, he's gonna hit 1,000 points this season.
It was I got close.
So you did almost have me, but I'm like, wow, okay. I honestly was not expecting him to be close to 1,000 points, but now that I see, where Stamkos, where he's at, I'm gonna go with Stamkos. Yeah. But if you just looked at what you gave me for this season, it doesn't make sense to choose Stamkos. That's tricky, man. That is. We're resorting to this now for me to choose Kucherov.
I'm massaging my presentation a certain way.
All right, I'll wait for the next pick one that you have Kucherov, and maybe you'll get me then.
Well, you can make stats say anything, right? So that's what John's trying to do. Yeah.
True. Well,
I mean, my opinion is so unimportant when it comes to hockey. But I have to go with Stamkos because I know who Stamkos is. And a little bit behind the scenes, before this podcast started, we were chatting about this pick one, and I didn't even know what Kucherov's first name was. And then I didn't even know he played for the Lightning with Stamkos. So, I mean, as from an outsider's perspective, I've heard of Stamkos, and he's a good Canadian boy, right?
Markham, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that because we thought we were gonna sign. We thought the Leafs were gonna sign him,
I remember,
and he never came. And so there's a lot of disappointment there.
The Leafs are like the Stamkos. For those that don't live in the Toronto bubble, the Leafs are like the Knicks. Every year, we get our hopes up. There's some kind of news media about us trading for or signing some monstrous player, and it just doesn't come to fruition because it's just us living in this bubble.
Yeah, like no one from Toronto wants to play in Toronto. Yeah. And then this one kid who's from Phoenix is like, I'll go there. Yeah. I'll play there, right?
Yep.
Isn't
he was drafted,
but Arizona. Didn't he re-sign?
Yeah, he re-upped 5 years, but it's coming up.
Yeah,
and I'm a little scared. I don't know if he's gonna stay.
Yeah.
So anyway. I go to Stamkos just because
but
he's a good old Canadian boy.
All kidding aside, we talked about this last episode, right? Like Canadians are the hockey card market. So I'm just saying, if you want to invest in something that has a higher ROI, Stamkos is a good play as well.
There is that aspect. Traditionally, right. I think it's unfortunate, but it's mostly Canadians that collect hockey, and Canadians are very proud, and there's always been sort of this villainous, thing towards Russians, and we've had this sort of like we've just had this thing with Russians over the years, this competition. So there's just something about, I think, Russians and their values and how they're looked upon in the sport. They're very underrated. So that definitely has something to say about the pricing. But you guys know my pick. I'm easily going with Kucherov. I attempted
Sticking with it.
to even try to get Will to join the Kucherov train, but fortunately, he thought.
But unfortunately, I didn't know his
Yeah,
name.
he asked us if it was Alexei Kucherov. He was pretty close.
I think my guess was Yaromir Kucherov, and I was not right.
Kucherov is an absolute
right.
stud. I'm not gonna, like Clark likes to say, belabor the point, but I think he is so underrated. I think the Russian thing has something to do with it. Certainly, even for a guy like Artemi Panarin.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, Ovechkin is probably one of the few. I think Ovechkin and Datsuk over the years are probably the two, like, widely respected.
Transcends all that.
Transcends, like, Russian Canadians and all that stuff. But it's unfortunate. I think, Kucherov is on his way to carving a awesome Hall of Fame career, and he's like the Juan Soto of hockey. He does not have
hot take.
no.
Hot
I
take.
mean that in like collecting sets. He doesn't have cards.
Oh,
He
I
only
see.
has
Okay,
the Young
fair.
Guns, unless you want to kind of go to like a really off-brand, like Panini Prism, which for that time period was something different for hockey. But he only has Young
That's
Guns,
fair.
so I mean he doesn't. I don't think he has Upper Deck the Cop RPA. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have Future Watch Auto or even just a Future Watch numbered rookie SP.
Right.
So it's pretty much just the Young Guns. So in that way, he's like this super limited entity in the collecting world. So
But in that way, it's worse. Like, your best card
Is the Young Guns?
is the Young
It
Guns.
could go against. It's true. Because I would love a Kucherov Future Watch, and it doesn't exist, and I'm sad about that.
Yeah, just imagine
What
if
was
there was
the-
a Kucherov Kaboom.
Oh,
Unlicensed
unlicensed.
Kucherov.
No lightning bolt, nothing.
White practice jersey.
It's like that Skybox stuff that just got released.
Oh, yeah.
No,
It's like
man.
the worst
Metal
looking cards I've ever
Universe?
seen in my life.
All the basketball players in like practice jerseys. Oh boy.
Might
Yeah.
as well bring the Pro Set out. Pro Set
Yeah. Honestly.
boxes out. Brutal. All right, nice try, John. But I liked your attempt. I'll give you kudos for that. All right, Will, what's your pick one?
All right. So I cheated a little bit because your rules are you have to choose two things or two cards.
I noticed that.
I sent you a pick one of the 2021 rookie QBs. So I listed in the group chat. I sent you stats for Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and Trevor Lawrence. I was also gonna send you stats for Trey Lance and Davis Mills, but Davis Mills cards don't even show up on Card Ladder's index, so I eliminated him. And Trey Lance in 2 years has played 4 games, so yeah, I just eliminated him because, I mean, he was the most hyped up QB preseason, and then he just got injured and all that stuff. So I eliminated him. But there's an interesting thing about, well, first we'll go to their stats. They, Mac Jones has had the most success from last year. Zach Wilson is having the most success this year with the Jets being 6-3. But I don't think a lot of people would say that that's because of Zach Wilson.
Right.
And then Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields have been playing on losing teams for the last year and a half. So statistics-wise, like they're not really. None of those 4 guys are contributing to winning. So it's kind of like, what do you think they're going to do in the long run? But what's interesting is if you look at their cards, and I just went with Prism Silver because I figure that's like flagship. That's something that everyone would want. That's something everyone knows.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence. So we can do this as a pick one. Trevor Lawrence or the field. So Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson. So the weird thing is Trevor Lawrence has super low pop in his Prism base and Prism Silver. He's got pop 25 in PSA 10s. Justin Fields has 132. Mac Jones has 286. Zach Wilson has 81. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, their 3-month actually even Mac Jones, their 3-month average of sales is about $400 US each. Trevor Lawrence's sales for the 3-month average is $1,600 US. So if you had $1,600 US, are you buying the one Trevor Lawrence Silver Prism, or are you buying a Silver Prism of Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson?
It's a good one, man. Now that you threw in that extra wrench, Trevor
I'll
Lawrence
throw in
Field.
a Davis Mills just for fun.
That's a negative value, so take that out.
And I'll also throw in a Kenny Pickett because my Steelers are just in so much pain right now. But yeah, what do you guys pick?
Clark, go first.
Okay. Man, as you were talking, I was just kind of looking over the stats you gave us pre-show, and if it was just a conventional 1v1, pick one without the field in play, like I would have eliminated Mac Jones and Zach Wilson right off the bat. Yeah. Like I'm not a believer.
Ooh.
I just think it's like you said about Zach, they're not winning because of Zach. It's the defense. It's like everything else essentially. The team is playing really well together. Mac Jones kind of plays in a Belichick system, and that's more of a factor, I believe. So I was narrowing it down to Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And I would have chosen Justin Fields more for the short-term flip timeline.
Yeah, because his cards are pretty hot right now.
It's hot right now, so like I would have to get one soon because I feel like you're almost buying at the peak, right? But I'm just impressed with his talent, and and then the other side of it's like Trevor Lawrence, like his value seems inflated still. Like there's a lot of hype with Trevor Lawrence when he came into the league, and is still up there. The only thing that makes this a slam dunk decision for me for Justin Fields, and if it was Trevor Lawrence plus the field, no pun intended, I would have chose the field obviously, because with quarterbacks injuries, like I might as well have 3 quarterbacks that I can depend on and just kind of play the odds that way, and Trevor Lawrence just being inflated. But the only thing that holds me back is that stupid pop count of 25. Like I don't know why it's so hyper low. It's kind of like the Josh Allen thing, right? Like his Silver Prism is like that year for whatever reason. Just doesn't have a lot of his Silver Prisms either, PSA 10s, at higher pop counts. So I don't know if I'm a Trevor Lawrence believer. If I was, I go with Trevor Lawrence, and just hold until the Jaguars draft a few good players and then build around Trevor. So because of that, I'm going to go with the field in this case. And I'm higher on Justin Fields for a short-term flip anyway.
These guys are all... Hang on. Aren't they all from the same draft?
Yeah, it's the 2021
Yeah,
QB
why
draft.
is the pop count...
That's why I put them.
Yeah, makes sense. Why is the pop count so different on Prism Silver though for Trevor Lawrence? That's so weird.
Even his base prism
is low.
It's just super low.
What?
Yeah, I have that too.
So Panini purposely held back the population of Trevor Lawrence cards. That's interesting. I've never heard of that.
Shout out to Card Ladder because they have like all these great. You guys should get money from Card Ladder. They should advertise with you guys. But I compared their base cards to PSA 10. Trevor Lawrence pop 81, Mac Jones 1370, Justin Fields 690, Zach Wilson 300. Yeah, like Trevor Lawrence is just super low, and I have no idea. I tried Googling it. I didn't have enough time to get all the research in, but there's just something weird going on with Trevor Lawrence cards.
Yeah. If the listeners, if you guys know, please indulge us. I would love to know why.
Because even I just checked the PSA 9s. Maybe like it's just not getting the grade, but even the PSA 9 there's 200 of Trevor Lawrence's silver, and there's about 200 of Justin Fields. So that's it's kind of a wash.
Right. Yeah.
But that's weird.
Interesting. I don't know what to think. I think I'm just not a fan of the three of those guys. I'm kind of like with Clark, even what we've even being a fairly casual NFL fan, and in the short little stints that I've watched, I don't know if I've been impressed to see star talent, even though they're all high pedigree, like first round draft picks. I don't know. And Trevor Lawrence, you can see the star talent. It's just the team is garbage, and it's gonna take some work. It does make me think, like, man, I think his card at 1,500 plus for the silver is still very inflated. So it makes me kind of go, oh, this is a good one, man. He put up a really good 1v1. I am going to go by a hair, and I'm going to pick the prince from Shrek, Trevor Lawrence. I think as much as it is expensive, it is still essentially you're spending the same money, and I think you can be safer with your money across three players. But if you are looking for that upside and you're looking for that big hit home run and return, I don't know, like Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, I feel like in the hobby they kind of have a bit of a short leash. Like people are probably in a similar opinion to Clark and I, feeling like, they're all right, And if they stumble, it's like, see, I knew it. Like, this is them. They suck, or they're not worth what they were. Whereas Trevor Lawrence, I think everybody's just like waiting for him to really like bust out. And if he like sucks it up, they're gonna be like, no, it's a bad team. You'll make excuses because I think people really want to see it. So because of that reason, I think Trevor Lawrence has a good chance of, even in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, based on that pedigree that everybody sees, if he comes back and he hits hard and he becomes like a superstar, his value is going to explode. So I think it's Trevor Lawrence.
Well, the tiebreaker.
Yeah, this one was a little bit tough for me as well, just because, like you said, the pop count is so low on Trevor Lawrence. And then also skill-wise, I got to give it to Trevor Lawrence as the best QB of the bunch. I actually really like Justin Fields. And I think Mac had a great season last year, and there was a lot of hype built behind him. And the New York Jets, I mean, who cares about what the Jets do?
They're 6-3, man.
I don't believe it. Like, I don't believe how they did it. But for me, the real problem with going for Trevor Lawrence is that he plays for the Jaguars. And Jacksonville is never... I hope you don't have a lot of listeners that are out of the Jacksonville area, but I don't see them ever putting together a competent team. So you're wasting potentially a star quarterback on just like wasted seasons. It's like Mike Trout. I mean, I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is Mike Trout, but Mike Trout, imagine how much more valuable his cards would be if he was in the playoffs every year. Yeah. And then for me, like I really like Justin Fields, so I lean a little bit more towards him. I love quarterbacks that can run, and he, like Michael Vick, was just everything. Like growing up, I loved Michael Vick. I loved Donovan McNabb. Yeah,
you're a Steelers fan. You liked what's his name? Oh man,
who? Ben? No,
not Roethlisberger. The guy who ran back. Oh, I can't remember. Oh, what's his name?
Bettis?
Yeah.
Jerome Bettis?
Jerome Bettis. No. The quarterback.
No.
Why is his name not coming up? Oh my gosh.
Who was the quarterback before Ben Roethlisberger?
No,
He was there for forever.
I don't know life before Ben.
Maybe
I died after Ben left.
I'm too old.
This is hilarious. Will doesn't know anything about hockey.
Oh, I thought
John doesn't know anything about football.
Oh man. I don't know
Guys,
why his
let's just stick to
name's-
baseball, all right? This is
I'm gonna do some
anyway.
research.
When you think of it,
I'll be back. I'll
yeah,
be
when you
back.
think of-
Give me a second.
you'll be back.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
All right, I'll go with my pick one. That was a good one, though. Well, I like that. All right, here's my pick one while John looks up this imaginary quarterback that played for the Steelers.
Oh, it's Cordell Stewart. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, good old Cordell Stewart. I remember him.
Actually, I guess you do know more about football than I do because I don't remember that name at all.
Oh, I
to
loved
tell you the
Cordell
truth.
Stewart. I wasn't a Steelers fan, but he almost converted me. I loved watching him.
He was good.
He's one of those OG, like, you know, one of the first times I think that NFL got to see like big, strong, fast quarterback, can run, can throw. Yeah. He was like the Mike Vick before Mike Vick came along.
I was honestly trying to scratch my brain, trying to figure out who you were referencing, and I was like, "Is he talking about Terry Bradshaw? Like, he's definitely not talking about Terry Bradshaw."
Terry Bradshaw, that
let's move
speed,
on.
that foot speed was ridiculous.
Oh man. All right, let's wrap up this show before it gets really out of hand with my pick one. All right, on one side you got Mookie Betts, 2014 Topps Update, the red hot foil. I'm going to choose the BGS 9.5 Gem Mint grade, and just for context, the pop count for that is 39, and it last sold for $400 on eBay because that was my card that I sold for. And I bought it for $800, so yeah, I'm just cutting my losses there. Versus the Mookie Betts 2014 Topps Update Gold, which is numbered to 2014 when it was issued. Same grade, BGS 9.5. The pop count is slightly higher at 49, but it last sold for 1,080, so more than double. Which one are you going for?
Wow.
I think I am going to pick the gold. It is gold. The word gold. It seems to be fairly popular and has become a big thing in the hobby. And on the other hand, red hot foil. I think as we continue to move forward in years and new collectors, or even collectors certainly now, some of the non-OGs, you get kind of confused, right? And I feel like as we continue to go forward, some of these variations that had different naming conventions back in the day might start to get lost in translation, so to speak. So gold will always kind of have that continuity and people can recognize it right away. Oh, I know the gold. I know it's popular. I like that word. It means, you know, has a certain status. I'm going after that card. Whereas red hot foil or like Walmart blue or Mike Trout Diamond Anniversary or something, like as we continue to go forward, like some collectors will be like, which one is that again? Is that more rare than cognac or is it not? And I think I feel like there might be something to just going after golds in general for whoever, even Mike Trout, like easier to understand, and I think it would just reach a wider audience of collectors ultimately. So I mean, even the pricing shows, right? You're showing, even looking at the stats, like the pop is low on both, fairly comparable, but the pricing, you know, we're looking at $1,000 versus 400, right? So, yeah, gold for me.
Okay. All right. It's color match. I'm just
Clark,
saying.
That is, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for color match. Back in 2014, was there? It was like it doesn't have a what's the word?
Different parallels?
Like a print run, or no, like how many it's out of.
Oh, like serial numbered?
Oh yeah, red hot
it's
is
not
not
serial numbered, right?
Yeah, just a gold. Yeah, just a gold.
And Mookie doesn't have.
But I mean,
Mookie
the
doesn't
pop
have
of it's
many parallels, right? I remember Scotty B did a segment
yeah.
on that. I think it's like red hot foil,
There's a chrome.
gold, and like that's it. Yeah, chrome base,
Later on, yeah.
clear out of 10.
Doesn't he have some? He has
Clear
like
out
a
of 10.
single-
Yeah,
he
so I
just
think that
picked
was
up
like one of the.
And there's a blue as well, blue Walmart border.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the pop counts, it shows that the red hot foil is actually very scarce, even though it's unnumbered. Gold is always gold, like what John's saying. But I'm a sucker for color match. And I don't know, I just feel like it's something different. I always tend towards something a little bit different. And like gold is safe because everyone knows gold. Like John's points were like perfect. That's exactly how the hobby feels. But I like deviating from the norm.
Clearly.
So I'm going to go with the red hot foil. Yeah, I like the red hot foil.
Yeah.
And I love unlicensed, in case nobody heard over the last 2.5 episodes. I love unlicensed.
Will's going to be known as the unlicensed guy on the...
I'm going to change my Instagram handle to unlicensed collector. Unlicensed to kill. Or something like that.
I like it. All right, I'll be the tiebreaker. So I did sell my red hot foil because I didn't think I was going to get my ROI, especially in this market. I do love the color match. That's why I initially got it, of course. And if it was maybe a true gem, it wasn't a true gem. It was a min gem, which is another reason why I was ready to let it go. And I was telling you guys off air, we got the Sports Card Expo coming up in a couple days now. And I just want to liquidate as much as possible to get into a bigger card. So I'm selling whatever I can. And but I do like the gold. And, you know, like we were talking about collector, investor early on in the show. Like for me, the gold will retain its value much better. I agree with John's point. And I think I'm putting on my investor hat on with this sale. So if it was for the PC, I would definitely side with Will, go for the red hot foil. Looks much better with the color match cards. But with the market tanking and me wanting to reinvest my funds, if I was going to get back into it, I'd probably go for gold. And it's numbered to 2014. So yeah, it's a gold win there. All right, that wraps up another long episode. Will, thank you once again for joining us. We'll invite you back on the show. We'll try to do a foursome next time, even when Hyung's back. And, it'll be fun to get you back on.
Well, I got to say it's been a lot of fun, but I'm really looking forward to going back to just being a listener and commenter. Like, being behind the mic is not what I want to do. I just want to listen to what you guys have to say. So, but I am honored and privileged to have been able to spend this time with you guys. So I'm very appreciative.
Thanks, Will. And yeah, we'll do another episode of unlicensed cards. And then when we do, you'll be back on for sure. All right, with that, thanks again to our listeners and subscribers, as always, for listening, for tuning in every week. We'll have a new episode on Tuesday, and Hyung should be back for that. So we'll welcome him back then. All right, thanks again. See you next week. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.